Welcome to this VMware Lab screencast. Today I'll be showing you how to connect to an ESXi host with the vSphere client, looking at some of the hardware configurations on the host, and then configure the DNS and routing. Lastly, I will show you how to configure the host as an NTP client. My name is Thomas and I will try to make this as easy to follow as possible. Now today I'll also be running with some assumptions for the screencast. Number 1 is that you have a pre-configured ESXi host. Number 2 is that you have a pre-configured server with the VMware vSphere client installed. Number 3, that you have a domain controller with DNS, an Active Directory domain, and NTP server already set up. And number 4 is that all of these machines are within the same network. Now just so you have an understanding of what I'll be doing in this screencast, this is a diagram of the network configuration I'm using. This machine here is the VMware Center server, and I'll be using the vSphere client on this machine to connect to this ESXi host here. This server here is my domain controller, DNS server and NTP server, and highlighted over here in red is the default gateway for the network. Now let's move on to connecting to the ESXi host. Open up the vSphere client and enter in the host name. For me this is Thomas-ESXi-02. Then enter in the username and the password. If it is your first time connecting to the host directly, you will be prompted with a certificate warning. Nothing to worry about here, just click the install certificate checkbox and hit ignore. Then it's just a matter of waiting for the process to complete. And you're in. Now we're going to look at some of the hardware configurations on the host. To view the hardware configuration on the host, make sure that the host is highlighted in the left pane, and then click on the Configurations tab. By default you start on the Health status, which lists the processor health and any software installed on the host. Most of these will be VMware components, so unless there is something wrong with your install, then they should all be in the green. Under the Hardware tab, you can also click on any of the other items, and they will display the hardware that the host has currently installed. A quick example is the processors, the memory, and the storage, and any other hardware that the host has attached to itself. Moving on to DNS and routing. Staying in the configuration tab from before, under the software sidebar, select the DNS and routing link. Click on the properties link in the top right, and now we can enter in the domain name and the DNS server address. Leave anything else default, and click on the routing tab. To finish this task, you will need to specify the default gateway if it hasn't been pre-populated already. Once you finish that, just click OK. And last but not least, looking into the NTP client configuration. To configure as an NTP client, make sure you're in the Configuration tab, and under the Software sidebar, click on Time Configuration. By default, NTP client is turned off, and there is no NTP server set. Click on the Properties in the top right. And to enable the NTP client, check the NTP client Enable checkbox and click Options. From there, you want to select Start and Stop with Host and move into the NTP settings on the left. Now we want to click Add and use the same DNS server that we used earlier as the NTP server. You can either use the name of the server or the IP address, although using the name won't work if DNS isn't working. And to finish it off, click on the Restart NTP Client Service and click OK. Check the details and click OK again. And that's all the tasks done for this lab. Now I just quickly wanted to mention why the NTP client is so important. Time synchronization is critical for keeping virtual machines on the same schedule, which is especially true for certain services, such as email, database, and any kind of system logging. Hopefully after watching this screencast, you are now able to connect to an ESXi host, know where to look for the host hardware configuration, and how to set up DNS and routing and NTP client. Thank you for watching this screencast.